Hello, I'm Keith Hilson with the Schmidt Music Trombone Shop, back with another instrument review for you. And today I've got an instrument that I've been waiting to make a video for literally months, but time got away from me. I said, you know what, I need to make the time because this is a really special instrument that people deserve to know about, specifically the SE Shires TBDR David Rejano Artist Model Large Bore Tenor Trombone. We've been very lucky to be able to collaborate a little bit with David Rejano, in particular when he designed his Rejano mutes during the pandemic. We were one of the first shops to carry them. They've had wonderful success. And of course, we've been watching, his playing career, all of the wonderful solo work he's been doing, obviously his wonderful playing within the LA Philharmonic. And so when the announcement came out that they were designing, SE Shires, that is, was designing an artist model with David Rejano, we were very interested to see the results. When we got it in, it confirmed and basically blew away any of our expectations of what this instrument was going to be. It's a very unique design. And I'll talk about more. It's different than any other SE Shires large bore tenor I've ever played. And not in necessarily bad ways. It's a very different instrument I'm excited to share with you. So I'm gonna take a play so you can hear all of this, and then of course I'll talk about it afterwards. I'm gonna be playing all of this today on my trusty Bach 5G. As I mentioned at the beginning, when SE Shires announced that they were collaborating with David Rejano on a new artist model, we were very intrigued to see where this came from. David, of course, had a long relationship with another manufacturer, and so we were really curious to see, are they going to bring basically, attributes of that instrument with just a little bit different take on it, or is it going to be a completely different design entirely? It definitely fell into the latter category here. Like I mentioned, we have had this in the shop for a few months here, honestly, but haven't had a chance to do a video. I needed to share this instrument with everybody because I think it frankly deserves more attention than it's getting here. So David Rejano obviously is, again, the principal of the LA Philharmonic, but doing a lot of solo work as well. So looking for an instrument, obviously with some versatility to it, but versus some other designs we've seen where a lot of times those folks who are going for something with that really great orchestral sound, but at the same time need to have some of the flexibility with their solo literature, a lot of times those designs skew a little bit on the lighter side, although not always. I mean, point in case, take a look at the SE Shires Joseph Alessi model here, accomplished in certain ways. What was really intriguing with this instrument right away is how they combined with the cut bell design with a lot of the other attributes to make an instrument that's got a very different heft to it, but is still very, very responsive, very stable, and very, very flexible as well. So the David Rejano here features a two-piece gold brass bell in standard weight. We'll talk about why that's important in a minute here. In standard weight with their standard seamed rim, standard brazed seams here, obviously with the cut bell. They combined that with a seamed German rose brass tuning slide. So just as a quick reminder here, makers like SE Shires and others will offer the main tuning slides either drawn, where it's one tube that's drawn out to the length and then curved to the proper taper, or seamed, where they start off with a sheet of brass that is then molded over and then seamed along the bottom there. And what that does is it gives the tuning slide, the tubing, a different kind of weight. There's a different kind of consistency to it. And it does some really interesting things to the attributes. So this is their seamed tuning slide here. They combine that with a wide crook T47G hand slide. So their standard width slide with gold brass tubes, nickel silver crook here. And then of course, one of the features that has grabbed a lot of folks' attention is the really unique Rejano valve wrap setup here as well. So David had been playing on a closed wrap large bore tenor throughout a lot of his career. And so when I imagine the conversation went with SE Shires is I want to accomplish some of that feel, some of the, that unique pop that we get in the lower register with a closed wrap, but maybe not going quite as far. So they did this really unique kind of quasi-minic double wrap kind of thing. And then of course we've got a counterweight on here, which again is a little bit unique for modern large bore tenors, and the beautiful David Rejano engraving as well. So all put together, what does that mean? Well, first off, it is a heavy instrument. That's one of the first things folks remark on after the really unique wrap. When they pick it up, it's like, oh gosh, it is heavy. It really does have some heft to it. There's a few different reasons for that. One of the big ones is the bell design. With cut bells so often nowadays, because of the weight, the mass that collar puts on the bell, most often the designs tend to have a little bit lighter gauge on the bell material, and the flare material, on the stem material as well, to kind of help counterbalance that. Depending on the design, a lot of times, if you use a standard weight material plus the cut bell, it can be a little bit too much to push around. It can be a little bit slow to respond. It can be hard to move throughout the registers, but that's what they went with. But I think they accomplished a lot of flexibility in different ways there. So we've got the weight of that, and then obviously we've got the counterweight. What this gives the instrument is something with a lot of stability. This is one of those instruments, there's a handful I can think of out there. When I go to play it, it just naturally has that really beautiful classical weight to the response. I've described it before, it's a little bit like dropping a sandbag. Woof. Versus when I'm looking at, for example, a commercial instrument, small bore tenor or something else to use in commercial settings where I want a little bit more snap to it. This has got some of that natural weight to it. And like I said, because of the weight, it's very, very stable, but it's not heavy playing. It's not something where I feel like I have to work really hard to push it around, as you might have heard from the Bach flute partita. Frankly, I found, compared to some of the other gear I play, I actually found myself having to work a little less hard. I had to kind of retrain myself, like, oh, nope, you don't have to work quite as hard for this. The upper register really sings beautifully, in there. But at the same time, it's got this really beautiful, stable weight. And again, throughout the different dynamics, whether I was trying to do the Rochou, whether I was doing, Pines of Rome, some of these really soft characterizations there, it still has color to it. But it still has this mass. And then obviously when we start really laying into it, for example, in the Pines of the Appian Way, boy, it just sings. My goodness, it just carries the sound a country mile. But again, at the same time, it doesn't feel heavy by any means. And with this really unique wrap, this is a trend that I've been seeing happen more and more over the last handful of years. I say especially the last 3-4 years here. We have a number of different designs that are going a little bit more quasi-closed wrap, whether it's seeing more of the European style X wraps, whether it's different play, working with different ideas like the Kahn 88HNV with that really unique tight Minnick wrap that kind of approximates a little bit of the classic 88H closed wrap, or something like this. I think players are looking for a lower register that is accessible. A lot of times I find for even nowadays, modern players, a true closed wrap tends to be a little bit too over the edge. It's too much of a change in terms of the airflow. We get too much of a shift sometimes in terms of the timbre. But some of these modified wraps where we're giving some of the benefits of that closed wrap, where again, we get a little bit more immediacy to the sound. Maybe we get a slight different color to it. With this wrap, I have to be honest, I don't experience that shift in the color as much as I do like with the 88HNV, where there is a different timbre to it, which I don't mind, by the way. With this, it does feel more even, but it does give just that little bit different compression. Depending on your approach, it can be a little bit different security down in that lower register. So it's a really, really unique design. And again, one of the things that I really like about it is it's a new design from Shires. Frankly, within the last couple of years, 2 of their favorite models of mine have been instruments that have been designed in the last couple of years, which to me is a really great sign that SE Shires and their master crafts folks there, they are not losing a step in what they're doing, and they're developing new, different ideas, exploring different color possibilities, and I would argue in a lot of ways, they're one of the ones leading the way as far as where the evolution of our playing, of our instruments are going. So really glad to be able to share this unique instrument with you. If you have any thoughts about what you heard in it, feel free to leave them in the comments here. I'd love to hear about it. Obviously, our community of viewers would love to, be able to share all of those different comments. If you haven't already done so, please think about giving this video a thumbs up. If you haven't done so, think about subscribing to our channel here. We just hit 5,000 subscribers on our channel, and obviously, if you're not already subscribed, we'd love to have you as a part of our YouTube community. And of course, you can always find the Trombone Shop on Facebook and Instagram. As always, thanks for watching.